So what I'm going to do now is to bring our two expert speakers together to kind of talk around how we can best reimagine the whole retail sector. Right. Now, we have heard from Anson, where he explained how the demographics of the consumer has changed, and more importantly, the behavior and purchasing pattern is evolving. So I guess essentially what I'm trying to bring to the group is, given that we've got a great discussion from Anson around the change of behavior, the consumer behavior, and the evolution of how things are going to be different moving forward, and the understanding of the background, the understanding of the back end where technology has been deployed to bring more efficient processes for the retailers to support. I'm going to kind of turn to both experts, right, Anson and Ming Sun, to ask you what would be your one or two advice you would give to retailers, right, to look into their back office in view of the changing behavior of consumers. What can they do to reorganize themselves to get ready when the new normal sets in? So maybe first, Anson, what would your comments be?
Yeah, thanks, Oliver. Appreciate that. I think again, I think just looking at my presentation along with Min Sun's, I mean, I do think we've covered a lot of ground. As we mentioned, the better use of data, I think that's going to be really, really key. I keep hearing from some of my clients that they've collected all of these massive data lakes, but of course, quite frankly, what the hell are you going to do with that data? That's a key message, I think, for everybody, in the fact that they quite frankly, if you do nothing, if you stand still, then equally your history. So I do think that, and I think Min Sun mentioned this as well, that data is the key, and you've really got to look at how you understand and interpret that data. I'd also say that, of course, technology, and I think Min Sun mentioned this as well, technology is going to empower your business. It's not going to solve all of the problems, but it absolutely will empower your business. And I think for so long, Oliver, one of the things that I've seen with traditional businesses is they've just simply been too reactive, that they've just been too slow. And the interesting thing with COVID-19 is of course we know it's a terrible thing, but it has suddenly woken up a lot of people, a lot of businesses, that you need to move forward and you need to digitize, and you really do need to look at all of those different technologies. I think both myself and Min Sun already shared with everybody, I think there's a lot of cool things that are happening. There's already a lot of these technologies around. It's just a question of them being commercialized. And I think what's happening, certainly with COVID-19, is we are going to see a lot more of these technologies being commercialized and being available on the market. And equally, Oliver, a key message I think for a lot of companies right now is, they've got to look at their digital maturity, because I think, another issue is that people love to they think by throwing lots of tech, they'll be okay. But I definitely think that they do need to take a step back, look at that digital maturity. And as I said a little bit earlier on, the big challenge is, do you have the right people, the right talent? Do you really, and equally, have you recruited and retained the right talent? And equally, have you got the right training and development in place, that talent development? I see a huge gap. I really see a big gap. And that's, again, something that we need to overcome. So thanks, Oliver. Obviously interested to hear Min Sun's views.
Sure, wonderful. Ming San, over to you.
Yes, I also appreciate a lot Anson sharing that customer really changed a lot. So I also have exactly the same feeling. If the retailer do not to be brave enough to embrace new changes, then it's doomed. And I also want to share that again, very similarly, data is the key. So we need to embrace a lot of more contactless way to interact with the customer and collect more data. For example, on the web interaction or in-app interaction or all kinds of instant message interaction with your customer to collect more data. But again, having data is just the beginning. If we do not have the right analytic tool and also machine learning and AI solutions, then then data is not going to bring you value. So my final word and suggest to the retailer is to not only look for someone who's good at those technology into a company. A faster way is to find a technology partners and try to deploy those solutions and really analyze the data and give them an end-to-end AI solution to see the power of AI leveraging your data in the end-to-end fashion. And so I think again, three things: embrace the challenge, figure out a way to collect data, interact with customer online, and find technology partner to leverage data the best way you can. And that's it. Thank you.
Wow.
Oliver,
Thanks.
just
Yes.
to echo Min Sun's point, I do think one of the things that we do need to start doing is we do need to start collaborating, and we also need to see how we can co-create. One of the things that I'm hearing from my some of my big retail clients as well is that they're more open to working, for example, with the startup community on looking at those POCs, right? How can they develop those POCs? How can they take them to market? So that collaboration and co-creation is also really important. And again, you have to embrace, this next generation of agile startups in that retail space as well.
Yes, indeed. I think the advice that both of you have given certainly shed light around what the retailers should really start thinking about. And I could summarize it in three key points that's important for them to consider. One is really take a look at the data that they already have, the data that they need to further collect, and more importantly, use the right analytics tool to figure out and generate insights to help them with the business. The second is to explore technology, and we cannot do away without technology in the new normal. More importantly, to understand the current maturity level that they have within their organization and at which level can they adopt technology. Together with technology is the skill set. If the people are not ready, if the skill set is not there, you can have the best machines in town, but you are not able to have full leverage on the power of the machine and help you with the business. So I think those three advice are certainly very powerful that we can share with retailers out there. And hopefully through that process, they would be able to find new pivots out of where they are to get better, emerge stronger from this pandemic, and find new space to engage with the consumer. Let us turn a little bit around and perhaps look at the consumer themselves. Consumer behaviors are certainly very different. One huge aspect of how consumer behavior is turned out to be is the expectation. And I'd like to talk a little bit around expectation with both of you. Before, it was quite easy. You go into a store, you look at what you want, pick up the item, determine the size, and ask for it to be packaged, pay the money, and off you go. With the digital environment where you make purchases, sometimes you may not even get a chance to fit it out, to try out the size. And the delivery process involves an additional level of service. How quickly can you get the product? And in the delivery process, we need to ensure that the product is also not damaged in any way. So my question to both of you and your advice, the advice you would give to retailers, how would you manage that expectation transiting from a time where consumers get what they want quite immediately when they pay, and to a point in time whereby they could evaluate products virtually, but when they finally receive their product, there could be a time lag in between, and many other expectations come along with it in terms of quality and service level and so on and so forth. So what advice would you give to retailers for in regards to this expectation gap that exists today so that they can circumvent it?
Okay, Oliver, great, thank you. Now, also, I should say that, of course, we kicked off late. We were later than expected, so we are really out of time. And I also, of course, I'd love to keep talking all afternoon, but I don't want to take away time from other great presenters. I'm looking forward to those other presenters. Just on the customer side, just remember, as I said earlier on, you have to follow those customers on their journeys. We already see those changing consumer behaviors, and those consumers, Oliver, expect you, the brands or the retailers, to keep up. They expect that seamless experience. And I think going back to Min Sun's point, one of the interesting things we're now starting to see, smart manufacturing. That's going to play a really interesting role with regards to predictive analytics, understanding whether it's the blue dress or the red dress, that will take us all the way through to smart retail. And again, quite frankly, if you don't listen to your customers, those customers will vote with their feet and they will go somewhere else. So I think that's a key message, Oliver. I'm going to stop there because, again, in the interest of time, maybe I'll just hand over to Min Sun, and then I think we do need to finish up this session.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Anson. Min Sun, any comments for you?
Yeah, so indeed, looking at your data, looking at the customer journey, and you should be able to find that some people showing very strong intent and become a good candidate to try out your new services. And to work with those customers has shown strong intent and to work out a good service level requirement for that new services. And then the initial user, if they are satisfied, they could be a super user that kind of broadcasting such user experience is super great. And then you could get the same service can be applied on more people. Yeah, so be careful on analyzing the user journey, find out the people with strong intent and provide initial good service to them. Yeah. And then scale out.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think those are indeed very, very good advice that we will give to retailers. I know that we are slightly overrun by now. And I guess those are the definitely good advice that we are giving to the audience. So I agree, Anson, that we probably should pause now and come to the end for this roundtable. Thank you very much, Anson Billy from KPMG and Dr. Min Sun from APARA. Both of you have definitely given very great insights for the audience. Thank you once again. And I'll invite the audience to join me in showing our appreciation for their contribution to this webinar. Thank you very much.